Hi, my name is Jonathan Clay, and this is my video essay. I'm going to examine a few theories from our communication class, and I'm going to look at mainstream media like Fox News, CNBC, that type of mainstream, or CNN, and examine how the communication being delivered through there uses certain tactics, and it's not always delivered in the correct way that they're intending to deliver it. They have alternative agendas and different motives trying to be pushed to get a broad audience to agree and follow to gain control. My first theory I'm going to look into is muted group theory and how it is used in mainstream media, and how it's incorrectly used in ways to push agendas that have bigger meaning through people with higher power and all other sorts of interesting factors that play into it. But the muted group theory, it's a communication theory. It explores how marginalized or minority groups have their voices muted or constrained within mainstream discourse. It suggests that language and communication systems are designed for more dominant groups, and the people who are not in the dominant groups would be considered the muted group. And in mainstream news and media, recently, actually, representation of muted groups has grown. They have been included in a lot more aspects of media in fields they wouldn't before. They've grown a lot of attention. Recognition of muted groups and the importance of it has grown. People are learning that hearing diverse voices and different perspectives is a great way of shaping and understanding different social and societal issues that we play in. It comes back to the problem, though. The media uses these muted groups sometimes in a corrupt manner. They're trying to push an alternative agenda to get people to feel a certain way so that they have control. It's almost like a form of manipulation by letting people think that they're hearing from all sides, but in the way that they're delivering it and the order and the timing, it's all more set up and structured way more than we think it is, trying to push a totally different agenda for their own motives. Some news outlets have dedicated sections or specific programs focused on stories for muted groups, aiming to provide platforms for their voices. The challenges in this, when we address this, is the dynamic of how the voices of the muted group is being delivered on the media platform. Everything from language choices to framing, to edits, and to what can be said and what cannot be said are controlled by the media, the news media sources, and they only allow certain information that they want to be delivered out. So this creates a form of suppression from these muted groups who have experienced certain disequalities or inequalities, and they're telling the world that the mainstream news media, all these news sources, are telling the world that we're bringing in these muted groups of people who never have had a voice, and we're going to let them have a voice, and you're going to hear them. But at the same time, are they fully giving them a full voice, or are they just letting them talk about things that they want to talk about? You know what I mean? That's not too controversial, or yeah. One of my proposed solutions I have for the muted group theory and in mainstream media is it comes back to suppression of language. Almost, I don't know, if they are letting groups come on that they are quote unquote calling muted or oppressed, so they're trying to get their voice, then they shouldn't regulate any of the content they're trying to say within reason, as long as it's nothing vulgar or profane, and not offending anyone, like hardly or really offending anyone at all. But giving them full access to say what they want to say, because in the media, they don't let them say what they want to say. They control what they want to say to push ideas out there for higher ups so they can gain more power or whatever they are searching for. So for the muted group theory in mainstream media, they need to have full control of what they're saying. And right now, for my second theory, I'm going to look into narrative theory and the roles it plays in media and mainstream. Narrative theory is the study of the narrative and the narrative structure and the ways that they affect the human interpretation of what's ever being delivered. This allows for the narrator to have control over the message and how it's delivered and the effect that it feels on the audience. We see many examples of narrative theory in the media as they are pushing narrative theories totally different across each platform from the views and ideas that they are trying to achieve. In mainstream news, the narrative plays a crucial role in shaping information and how it is delivered and interpreted by the audience. News stories are not just a collection of facts. They are crafted and structured in ways that convey meaning and engage readers or viewers to pick up on these ideas and almost agree. That the main point of the news is to get people on their side, to have people like them to get what they want. One key concept of the narrative theory is framing, and how journalists and producers at these networks, they frame all the information and facts that are being presented to the audience. These choices of how they are framing and structuring it influence the audience's perception and interpretation of the story in so many different ways. If you watch one source of media, like one news channel to another news channel, they could be presenting the exact same news, but you're going to have a different view on it based on what side you're listening to, because of how they are structuring it and how they are delivering it to you. Different frames shape the narratives in such a diverse way that it's insane how you can deliver the same piece of news or information to groups of people, but if you change the narrative and the structure, how it is, the meaning is taken totally different. And this is what the different news media outlets do all the time. A good solution I would propose to this narrative theory problem in media and news is maintaining ethical standards from a journalist and producer standpoint, and upholding principles of accuracy on the information and fairness in the way that it's being delivered. Instead of trying to get a certain group of people to believe and feel a certain way by controlling how you are wording and structuring it, deliver it and let the people make their own decisions based on how they feel and what they believe is right and wrong. Journalists, I believe they should try and represent multiple perspectives, avoid stereotypes, and examine their own storytelling choices and see if they are using narrative theory even without them knowing it. Another solution that is it's a little more difficult, but I guess the audience literacy and understanding when the media is almost trying to manipulate in a sense, and understand the real news that's trying to be delivered and take away the real facts. Don't take away the facts that are just thrown in there to try and I think if this was in mainstream news, more fairness and more ethical just reasoning, I think that this would be a really good solution, and would protect a lot of the problems that we have currently in our country, formed by the news, because of their narratives and the narrative theory and how they are delivering information in totally different ways. So I think if we could change that, that would be a good solution. For my third theory, I'm going to do knowledge gap theory and how the media uses this to their advantage, when they know that they are broadcasting to audiences that maybe have less knowledge and less education about information. So a few problems with the knowledge gap theory is information doesn't normally get distributed evenly. Someone with a higher competence level or socioeconomic status, they're going to have access to better education, better access of news sources, including like newspapers, online platforms, social media, honestly having no limit to news sources. And that plays a role when the people who don't have access to that. Another one is difference in media literacy. The literacy skills in the media, it's very hard to just pick it up and understand exactly sometimes what they're saying on the news, and it's hard to engage and navigate what is going on and what's being delivered. People with higher levels of literacy definitely understand the news more, and it makes it easier for them to process information and make decisions and choices based on what they're hearing. Another problem I would say is journalists and news media. They tend to use complex language and technical terms that are not used on the everyday like conversation level, and they use information that the average person sadly does not know. And this creates all these things I'm talking about have created knowledge gaps when it comes to media, and they know this, so they create this sense of, we are very smart, we are going to broadcast to maybe people who aren't as smart, and if we sound smart, they'll believe us and they will agree with us, and that's all they want. They're trying to get control and power, and they want you to believe them. They want to be the smartest men in the room, and not necessarily wanting their audience to be as smart, because they know that they can't get away with as much quote-unquote BS that they're trying to deliver. From a solution standpoint on the knowledge gap theory, we could create media literacy education programs, helping people understand how news is delivered and how to take it, not to take it in the wrong way or in an incorrect way. If we need diverse news sources and diverse formats of the way they deliver. If you could ensuring like a wide range of news sources to local communities and outlets with diverse perspectives, reaching as many individuals as you can would be great, because there's a lot of people out there who don't have access to main news. Simplifying the language, maybe not making some of the news that we hear and writings that we see or listen to so complex, maybe making it a little more understandable for someone younger or less educated. And then my final one would be bridging or helping stopping the technical digital divide in this one's a little more difficult because not everyone has access to the resources of technology that we do here. But at least in America, I know that there are a lot of people who have access to digital sources, and they don't use it for educational purposes whatsoever. And I think if they did, it would create a really good society of people getting educated. And if you could be educated listening to the news, it's a really good way to learn from the world around you and make your own ideas based on what is best. But yes, this was my video essay, and those are the 3 points that I covered with my solutions. Yes, thank you for a great semester.